Hi guys, so today we're going to be making air dry clay. I forgot what I was saying for a second. Yeah, so a couple of you guys have gotten kits from my sister. This was my sister's idea. So if you have a kit, go ahead and get it out. If you don't have a kit, it's not that big a deal because all it is in here is just cornstarch and baking soda. I think it's a cup of cornstarch and a half cup baking soda, although I might have that reversed. Check in the description, that is the correct measurement. So don't trust my words, trust what I wrote down. But yeah, so we're gonna make some air dry clay. It's real easy. You will be using the stove though, so if you're a little bit younger, you may want to have your parents help you. You will need the baking soda, cornstarch, that is what this is called. And you'll want to mix them ahead of time. You don't need to mix them in a jar. This is just what she gave us. You'll also need a 3/4 cup of water. If you want your clay to be different colored and you don't want to paint it afterwards, go ahead and add some food coloring into your dye now. If you want it just to be white, you can just use normal water. If you use food coloring, it's just a couple drops. Like, the more you add, the darker it'll be, and such and such. But, and then of course, you'll also need a bowl to let this cool down in, and then either a paper towel, which I think you guys can see, or like thin washcloth, which we'll talk about at the end. And then, oh, of course, a pot and a spatula to be stirring your stuff with. Let's start. First things first, if you're doing colored, add your food coloring. If you're not doing colored, you have normal water. Either way, if you add the food coloring, mix it so that it's fully mixed in. And then once you've done that, add your water to your pot. And then we're also gonna add our baking soda cornstarch mixture, which if you have a kit, you just dump it in. If you don't have a kit, you can just measure it straight into your pot. You don't really need to, I mean, you probably should mix it ahead of time, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Anyways, we're just gonna pour this all in. Oh, come on. Alright, still got a wee bit left at the bottom, so I'm just going to use my spatula to get it out. But probably doesn't matter that much. Okay. Bam! Good stuff. We have all our things in our pot now. Let's mix it a little bit right now just to get everything hydrated. Okay, so now we're gonna turn our pot on low heat. So we're gonna turn it on low heat, and we're gonna stir it all the time for 4 minutes. So first things first, low heat. I'm gonna set timer here for 4 minutes, and we're just gonna stir for this whole time. And during this time, it should start to like bubble as it heats up and clump together. Just keep stirring it. It's gonna be all right. That's what it's supposed to do. So, you want to make sure you get all your edges. Make sure everything is nice and mixed and good to go. Yeah. So, we're just going to mix this for 4 minutes. Okay, so that was the first 4 minutes. And as you can see, mine is still very soupy, but you can also see that my heat is very, very low. It's on its lowest setting. So I think what I'm gonna do is turn up my heat just a little bit. Oh, no. Okay. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit so it's like a low, medium, low. I'm gonna do this for another 4 minutes and we'll see what happens. Alright, we can see it's starting to bubble just a little bit. This is at about 5 minutes now. About 5 minutes. I'm just gonna keep mixing and it'll keep cooking. You can see some of it is starting to clump together on my spatula, which is what we want. You can see now it's getting real foamy, and underneath that foam is a lot of thick goo. But we want this to be mostly goo by the end, so I think I'm going to cook it a little bit longer, even though my timer says I only have a minute left. Real nice and thick. Maybe I won't cook it longer after this minute. Cook it up real quick there, alrighty. Never mind. Okay, this is after 8 minutes, 4 on a super low and 4 on a medium low. And I think medium low is really the way to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my hood. I'm gonna mix this for a little bit longer just to make sure that it is all the way done. And then I'm gonna scoop it in our bowl. So, I think we are good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this into a bowl. And you might want to have a parent help you with this part, just because you don't want anyone to burn themselves. But getting all the last little bits. Okay. So, I'm gonna scrape this all in here. And now, this is obviously still very hot. I don't know if you guys can see. There we go. This is obviously still very warm. So we're gonna stick it in the fridge to cool down. But as we know, this is air dry clay. so it's gonna dry. So in order to keep it from not drying, we're gonna put a wet paper towel or washcloth, or not wet, damp, paper towel or washcloth over the top, and that'll keep it nice and moist, as well as allow it to cool down. So whatever you're using, make sure it can cover over the whole top of your bowl. I think I'm just gonna use paper towel. Can I get it over in one? Ooh, I can. So you're just gonna get this all the way wet and then squeeze out most of the water and then place it over the top. So I'm gonna go do that now, 1 sec. Okay, so I got it wet, squeezed out. You can see if I squeeze, no water's coming out, but it is wet. We're gonna place this over top of our bowl, and then we're gonna place our bowl in the fridge for 30 minutes, and then we get to make stuff. So exciting! So I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. So, apparently my camera did not record the whole time that I was making these lovely things. So I'm now recording the last little bit to show you guys some tips that I showed you in the beginning, but my camera did not record. First things first, I have a little bit of water right here. You need water to stick pieces together. So I have a little car right here, but he still needs 2 wheels. So to do the wheels, you're gonna just scratch up a little bit on your surface, on this surface, and on the surface that you're sticking. Just a little bit, it doesn't need to be a whole bunch, but you just want it to be a little rough. Take a little tap of water, tap it on top, and smoosh them together. I'm going to go ahead and do that with this wheel too. So, and this just helps stick them really nice and tight. So we're going to scratch up our surface a little bit, scratch up this surface a little bit. Hopefully that's in frame. And you can see here, hopefully it's nice and rough. Tap on a little bit of water and squish them down. If you are working with this clay for a long time, or you made multiple batches, you want to make sure that you keep it, the stuff that you're not using, in your bowl covered with your damp towel, and make sure that it's still damp so that it doesn't dry out, obviously. Or if it's a smaller amount, you can just wrap it up in the damp towel, and that works just as well. And now these are all done. So I'm going to let them dry overnight until they're very nice and hard, and then I'm going to paint them with craft paint. If you have already colored yours, you don't need to necessarily paint them if you don't want to. Or even if you made it white, you don't necessarily need to paint them if you don't want to. But I think that's everything. Yeah, it was fun making this with you guys. I will see you next week. Bye.